Hello, welcome to Shamika Talks, where I share with you my family values and the things that matter to me the most. And one of the things that matters to me the most is education. I am super big on education. I have a degree in both child psychology and early childhood education. I have taught in the public school system, I've taught in Christian schools, I've taught in private schools. And here I am now, a homeschool mom of 11 years to my three beautiful children. I have a child going to fourth grade, a child going to fifth grade, and a senior this year. So I'm super excited to share with you some tips and strategies on how to make homeschooling more interesting, more fun, and more engaging for your students, as well as any teachers or adults on here who want to learn how to engage a little bit more with your students and help them to succeed in their academics. All right, so I think it's first important for me to tell you that every student from infancy all the way until they become an adult, we all have learning styles. Okay, and I think it's very important for you to identify what your student's learning style is. Once you master that, once you start to understand it, you are going to have a light bulb come on in your brain that says, wow, if only I knew this a little bit sooner. So I want to help you discover your child's learning style. And so today, I want to go over 4 different learning styles: a visual learner, an auditory learner, a kinesthetic learner, and a reading and writing learner. And I want to help you identify which learner your student is. And if you have multiple students, then you very well may have students with all different learning styles. For example, I have 3 children and all 3 of them have a different learning style. I have a student with a kinesthetic learning style, a visual learning style, and an auditory learning style. And so I want to go over all of these styles so that I can help you identify which learning style your student is. It is so important, even with babies, toddlers, preschoolers, even up to 17-year-old students, that you can identify what way they learn best so that you can ensure that their teacher knows, so that you know, and so that you can make sure that their learning experience is the best experience that they'll ever have. And that will make them fall in love with learning. That will make learning so much easier for them. And it will become something that is easy with you as a teacher and them as a student. All right, so let's get into it. Let's talk about the visual learner first. If I was a visual learner and I wanted you to understand me best, I would say I learn best by seeing. If you want to identify if your student is a visual learner, pay attention to whether or not they are in love with books and pictures. If they look through books and they're inspired by the colorful pictures or the pages in a book, then they could very well be a visual learner. Also, if they're listening to a story or if they're in conversation with you and they're picking up a pencil or pen and you notice that they're doodling or drawing while you're talking, that could be a sign as well. If when they're playing with toys and they sort their toys by color, if you find them putting all the orange things in a pile, all the red toys in a pile, if they're really big on organization and keeping things particular, then they could very well be a visual learner. If by chance they notice something very quickly that might be changed in an area or a space, if they're used to it being in one space and then automatically they're like, Mommy, wow, this is different or that is different. If they recognize things with their eyes a lot, they could be visual learners. Okay, let's talk about the auditory learner. If I was an auditory learner and I wanted you to understand the way that I learn best, I would probably say I learn best by hearing. So if you have a student who loves when you read aloud to them, if you have a student who loves to sing, or you find them humming and singing songs in order to learn, if you can sing a song that's educational or academic and they remember what they heard, they're probably an auditory learner. If they can repeat lyrics back to you, if they hear a song and they memorize it quickly, if they like to ask questions and they're always inquiring and seeking to understand, if it's a student who would prefer that you read to them rather than even reading themselves, you could have an auditory learner. Okay, next, let's talk about the kinesthetic learner. If I was a kinesthetic learner, I would say I learn best by doing. So if you have a student that loves using their hands, they love to touch things, they love to explore things, they have a hard time sitting still, they like to move around, they like to keep busy, maybe they love building with Legos, maybe they love making things, maybe they love crafts, if they love acting out what they see, if they use their hands a lot to show you things, if their first response is, can I do it? Can I try? It's my turn, then maybe they are a kinesthetic learner. And maybe they don't really like pencils, they don't really like writing. Maybe those types of environments causes them to get a little antsy and a little stressed. Again, you could have a kinesthetic learner. All right, last but not least, the reading and writing learner. If I was a reading and writing learner, I would say I learn best through words. So if you have a student who loves to read, if you have a student who is always pointing at words that they see, maybe when you're driving, they're pointing out the road signs, or maybe they love to receive a journal or pencils or pens. Maybe they love writing lists, or maybe they like writing their letters or their numbers or their colors or their shapes. If they are super big on instructions or reading the directions of something, if they love workbooks or worksheets, if they just love to write, that could be a good indication that they are a reading and writing learner. All right, so those were the 4 main learning styles. So I want you to repeat after me: visual learner, auditory learner, kinesthetic learner, and reading and writing learner. All of those learners are special, and all of your students are special. And I want you to know that you are doing an amazing job. The fact that you're watching this video means that you care about your students and you care about what's best for them. And so as parents, as teachers, sometimes we just have to educate ourselves a little bit more so that our perspective can change, because they are amazing and so are you. Sometimes we just have to learn a little bit more and put forth the effort so that we can become better teachers even for our students. And if you didn't know, there are also teaching styles. And so if you stay around and subscribe to this channel and follow me, you'll be able to catch the next video where I am sharing the many different teaching styles so that it can help you identify whether or not your teaching style is even suitable for your child's learning style. Sometimes we just have to make little adjustments so that we can ensure that they're getting the best education possible, but it also helps us to be better learners as well. And so pay attention to this video. What type of learner are you? Are you a visual learner? Are you an auditory learner? Are you a kinesthetic learner or a reading and writing learner? All right, ways to identify. Are you intrigued with some of the things or the words that you see on the screen? Is listening enough for you? When I ask you to repeat those learning styles, did that pull you in a little bit more than the rest of the video? And even at the end right now, like, are you writing notes? Were you writing things down to better understand? These are ways that you can help identify whether or not you're an auditory learner, you're a visual learner, or a kinesthetic learner, or even a reading and writing learner. All right, thank you so much for watching. I hope this helps, and I'll see you next time. Bye.